Good morning. My name is Lara St. John. I'm a classical violin soloist. I began playing at the age of 2. I made my orchestral debut at 4 years old, and my European debut at age 9. When I was 13, I was accepted into the Curtis Institute of Music in Philadelphia, the most famous conservatory in the world. It's a full scholarship college. The acceptance rate is 3%, lower than Harvard. It was incredibly exciting for me, and my brother also got in, so the two of us moved to Philadelphia from a small city in Canada. When my lessons began with the distinguished professor, Yasha Brodsky, he would touch me in odd ways and threaten to expel my brother and I if I refused. By the end of my first year, the abuse escalated from forced touching to rape. I was 14 years old, and I was a virgin. We had almost no money, and I needed to buy a pregnancy test. That meant I had no money for food for a week, and I couldn't tell anyone why. The situation made me so angry and so hungry that I vowed this would never happen again. By my second year, I realized I couldn't continue seeing my rapist every week. With 2 older friends, I went to the dean of the school, told him most of the story, but left out the rape because I couldn't deal with my friends knowing the full truth. The dean mocked me and asked what I expected him to do. Changing teachers at Curtis is not an option, he said. But then one of my friends said we'd go to the police if he refused. And the dean then laughed and said, well, who do you think the police would believe? Some kid or someone who's been with the school for decades? Eventually, I got to change teachers, but Brodsky was never punished or even admonished for what he did to me. And he kept teaching until he died many years later. I kept seeing him in the corridors, and I knew that I had to get out of there after my first suicide attempt. In 1988, at age 17, I left a full scholarship school that could have been my home for many, many more years, and I joined an exchange program to the USSR after graduating from Curtis. I needed to get very far away. In time, I became a successful soloist. I performed with most of the orchestras in the world. I started my own record company. I've been profiled in People magazine, CNN, BBC, CBC, US News and World Report. I own my own multi-million-dollar violin. I've won a Juno Award. I'm a member of the Order of Canada. I'm a Knight of Burgundy. But I've never really been able to enjoy all of this success because my life since Curtis has been about survival. I reported my abuse to Curtis in 1986 when it happened, and again in 1995. I wrote a 9-page letter to Curtis's leadership in 2013 after the retired dean described himself as a protector of children in media interviews. At that point, Curtis hired a law firm, but only to make sure they weren't liable for my rape. When I decided I could survive, even if I never played another note on my violin, I made my story public. I was 48 years old. This was in 2019 in the Philadelphia Inquirer. It was front page news, 5,000 words. Before that time, there is no way I would have been able to come forward publicly, despite my success. It was only my publicly holding Curtis's feet to the fire that forced them to commission an independent report by the law firm Cozen O'Connor. That report in 2020 found me completely credible, and it found many other abuses of children by my former teacher and many others. In response, Curtis sent me a short letter of apology. I haven't heard from them since. So much has been taken from me: a more successful, joyful career, happiness with my family, normal, intimate relations with my husband, and even though it's not provable, I blame the fact that I miscarried for the last time in 2013 on Curtis and the rage I felt when their dean publicly portrayed himself as a protector of children in the media. I never experienced the joy of a first kiss because my rapist ruined that for me. The abuse I've endured has caused severe post-traumatic stress disorder. I won't have closure from my rape 40 years ago until I have true justice in court. Until that happens, Curtis can just keep on ignoring me, its victims, and the heinous crimes it has committed. Since going public, I've heard from hundreds of women. and I've just now finished a full-length documentary on the subject of abuse in classical music. I have found that child abuse in institutions like Curtis is rampant worldwide. This is a chance for Pennsylvania, the state that led the American Revolution, to once again be leaders by enabling the survivors of sexual abuse to speak and to bring their abusers and the institutions that enabled them to justice. It's time to end the statute of limitations for child sex abuse. It protects predators who are fully aware that their easily intimidated victims are unlikely to accuse them for decades to come. Please do what is needed to protect children and bring the depraved criminals who savage them to court. You have real power to stop these evil acts and allow us the justice that has so long been denied. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. St. John.